Mr. Chairman, and thank all of you for being here, and thank you for the visits to my office. I very much appreciate that. You said it's a hard G, Genton. Did I get that right?
It's Genton, Senator.
Genton. Oh, sorry. Several West Virginia companies are seeking rulings from Commerce on anti-dumping and countervailing duty orders to protect against unfair trade practices. Given the increased use of third-party countries to circumvent our trade laws, how will you ensure that the Department of Commerce effectively enforces anti-dumping and countervailing duty orders to protect our U.S. industries from unfair trade practices?
Thank you, Senator. I think the President and Secretary Lutnick have been very clear that one of their goals is to ensure that the United States is treated with fairness and respect in the global trade regime. If I'm honored to be confirmed by this body, I will certainly work with the leadership of ITA and BIS along with counsel at the Department of Commerce to ensure that West Virginians and other Americans are treated fairly by foreign companies.
Thank you. Do you, I don't know if you know this in the depth that you will once you're confirmed, but what legal standards need to be met by the Department of Commerce when they're initiating a trade investigation?
Senator, that's not something I've delved into in my current situation, but I'm glad to look into that and prioritize that if I'm confirmed.
Thank you. Mr. Fogel, welcome. And I know from your private sector background and prior public service, you appreciate the need for more investment here, domestic investment, certainly on the emerging tech side. Cutting-edge technology requires infrastructure to support it. And I'll put a plug in for my state as an excellent place to make those investments. What vetting steps would you take to ensure that bad actors or national security threats do not gain a foothold here while ensuring we're open for business? In other words, the vetting process of figuring out where the investment's coming from.
Right. Well, thank you, Senator. It was nice meeting with you. Absolutely, what you're talking about is really important. On the export side, I know you're asking about investment. I'm a huge advocate for exports because the global markets team is responsible for exports. But at the same time, we need to be careful that we're not just exporting for export's sake. We need to be mindful that we're not sharing technology, proprietary technology, with bad actors, particularly China. On the investment side as well, although it's not really the responsibility of the global markets team, I would want to work with my interagency colleagues as well as my colleagues at Commerce to make sure that the foreign investment coming in is not being used for any kind of insidious purpose.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's an important aspect as we look to the future. On rail safety, Mr. Fink, you and I talked about the accident that occurred in Ohio or just outside the boundaries of West Virginia and the impacts that it had on major railroads and major railroad safety. What can we do to make sure that the safety measures, we didn't pass a rail safety bill, but the safety measures that you learn from lessons learned from NTSB and others are quickly and effectively implemented by the railroads to prevent future accidents?
Thank you for the question, Senator. The East Palestine derailment was an awful tragedy that really shouldn't have happened, and it was technology to stop it from happening, but it happened. I think the railroads have voluntarily put more sensors out there to see if certain bearings are heating up and stop the train so we don't have the same thing happen in East Palestine. And there's other things that I look forward to. You know, my job is the enforcer of the laws that you pass. Mm-hmm. So when you pass a law, we will look at it and the FRA will enforce that law, whatever you come down with on what we should be doing on different items of rail safety. And I look forward to that happening if confirmed.
Thank you. And Mr. Gleason, thank you for the visit as well. And we talked about the lines that go through West Virginia, the Cardinal, which only runs 3 days a week, which we'd like to get that service up going out to Chicago, and then the Capital Limited, with a lot of West Virginians use to commute into D.C. quite frequently. You know, I didn't tell you this. I'd actually forgotten about this, but I do want to thank Amtrak because over the last several years, they have improved the access into the boarding stations for folks with disabilities and modernize those. Even in a couple, like in Montgomery, West Virginia, which is a smaller town, made it so that people could easily access And that, I think, to me, is extremely important as you're looking on how do you get more people to ride the rail. You have to make it accessible for all types of disabilities and ages of passengers. But I did say to you, and I'm going to say this publicly, that the last time I rode an Amtrak train, I found it was not maintained to what I would think the standards that American passenger service should be maintained to. And so I hope during your tenure on the Amtrak board that you put a heavy emphasis on that as well. I know there's new trains coming on board, and I know some of it's because of the old and age of the particular cars, but I think we can do better here, and I think we need to.
Thank you. I agree.
Thank you.